stand for the invocation. Chaplain Gerhardt.
Thank you, Dr. Malone. May we bow our heads together. Lord, once again we humble our hearts and we bow our heads and we ask for your divine favor in the affairs of this great hospital system. We're grateful for the positive survey by the Joint Commission, which validates our diligent efforts to provide the most competent of care for our patients. So many in our community come to us in need. They come to us in distress, in pain, and in crisis, some fighting for their very lives. Bless our patients, we pray, and encourage and comfort the families who love them. Give grace, strength, and compassion to our staff who serve them night and day. And bless our leaders and this, our hospital board, with wisdom from heaven above as they seek to guide all our efforts to heal, to comfort, and to care. These things together we pray. Amen.
Let's join together for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call the meeting to order of the Sarasota County Public Hospital Board on this July 20th, 2015. Any citizen desiring to address the hospital board should turn in a speaker card to the board secretary. If the citizen comment pertains to an item on the agenda today, the comment will be heard early in this meeting. Otherwise, it will be heard toward the end. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 5 minutes. Vendors, suppliers, or other persons seeking hospital contracts awarded on a competitive basis are reminded that their ability to address the board may be restricted by the terms for the invitation for bid, request for proposal, or other purchasing criteria. Lastly, the board has established a claims adjustment review panel comprised of representatives of the board, the medical staff, administration, and legal counsel to review and negotiate the settlement of claims. Accordingly, the board will not entertain comments on or discuss or negotiate claims at this meeting. We need approval of the orders of the day.
So move.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And approval of the minutes of the meeting of June 15th, 2015.
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or suggestions about that? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And now we have a special treat. Our physician who's going to speak to us today is our very own Dr. Fiorica, Chief of Staff, and we're going to have an introduction by our CEO.
So it's not only, it's a great privilege, Jim, to be able to introduce you today. Usually when I do this, I ask somebody to give me a resume so I can bone up on, where they went to school and that type of thing, and it's usually 2 pages. Dr. Fiorica, I got yours as a small phone book. So I'm going to try to succinctly talk about some of your education and accomplishments. And so I will tell you, Dr. Fiorica attended medical school at Tufts University of Medicine in Boston, then went on to do his residency in the Department of Obstetrics and GYN at the USF College of Medicine, then went to do his fellowship in GYN oncology at the Department of Obstetrics and GYN at USF College of Medicine, then did a fellowship in his breast disease at Brown University School of Medicine, and then followed up breast diseases diagnosis and treatment at Tufts University School of Medicine. Currently, Dr. Fiorica is our Director of Women's Cancer Care Program at Sarasota Memorial. He is the Director of Cancer Genetics Program here at Sarasota Memorial, the Clinical Professor of Obstetrics and GYN at Florida State University, Clinical Professor of Obstetrics and GYN at University of South Florida College of Medicine, and at Moffitt Cancer Center affiliate member. So Sorry if that went a little long, but that is as fast as I could do that, Dr. Eureka.
Thanks, David. That was very kind. And thanks for having me speak, inviting me to speak. I'm actually, today, though, I'm speaking as a spokesperson for the mother-baby unit. And my presentation today, really the credit, as you see in your slides, is Dr. Garner's the chairman of OBGYN, and Pam for the director of Women's and Children's Services. And I'm speaking actually on their behalf today. By circumstance, I was actually involved in a lot of the procedures, the majority of them that we're going to talk about, and that's why I'm the spokesman for them. But the hybrid room, the hospital board approved a $4.7 million budget to develop and construct a hybrid operating room. And the purpose was to put multiple specialties together in one unit and collaborate. And with that, the first cardiac, it was designed for cardiac surgery, with the first case being done in September 2012. Since then, there's been 682 cardiac cases performed in that operating room, in that single room. And with that, it sort of fulfilled the mission to improve patient care. That room is very unique, and we said, well, maybe we can use it for other services as well as cardiac surgery. So a year ago, we put together a plan for obstetrics, for a high-risk obstetrics. And in this slide, actually, this aired on ABC, Good Morning America, a year ago. And it talks about the placenta basically giving birth and nutrition and blood supply to the baby, but also can be devastating with hemorrhage, with a high mortality of the mother and the baby. And it actually talks about this as this disease called placenta previa, which is a rare condition, if not prepared, could be devastating. And so we took it on to actually be prepared. And we developed this unit. The obstetrical team, basically, the obstetrical hybrid team, involves the labor and delivery nurses, the perinatologists, the operating room nurses, and scrub team. It involves the blood bank, the anesthesiologist, the nurse anesthetist. It involves the urologist and their team, interventional radiologists, Dr. Lee and his team, the perfusionist from the cardiothoracic team for the blood. It involves the obstetrician that's actually caring for the baby and has been caring for the baby. It involves me and my surgical skills. It involves the neonatologist and the pediatric team, all in one hybrid room. This is the way it works. And on the left-hand side of your slide, you have the fetus and you have the placenta sort of at the top, as you can sort of see the little red placenta providing nutrition. The baby's delivered down the birth canal. The placenta contracts and delivers, the bleeding stops, and the baby delivers, and everybody's happy. However, if you have a placenta previa, which is on the right-hand side of the screen, the birth canal is blocked by the placenta. So if the baby delivers there, she's going to have severe hemorrhage. And so you don't want that to happen. And then on top of that, that placenta can actually embed into the uterus and actually erode through the uterus to the bladder and the bowels and the surrounding organs and blood vessels. And you can see that on the left-hand side of the slide, on the left-hand side where it can erode through. And you can imagine that if something starts bleeding, the mother would hemorrhage to death, and so would the baby. Placenta accretas are rare, but there's 3 times increase in the last decade. They used to be 0.8 per 1,000 deliveries, and now they're 3 per 1,000 in the United States. There's a lot of risk factors, one of them being repeat cesarean sections, and we implement decreasing C-sections. We look at placental positions, we look at age, we look at previous childbirths. But the main issue is the number of C-sections, and in this slide it shows you that if you have 1, 2, or 3 C-sections, your risk of placenta previa can be as high as 60%, and with that it can erode right on through with a high percentage. So preparedness is really what you need. The mortality rate, if the mother starts bleeding and contracting, is actually 7%. 7% of mothers die because of this procedure if not prepared. The average blood loss for standard delivery is about 800 cc's. The average blood loss for this procedure is somewhere between 2 to 5 liters, which is nearly an entire blood volume for the mother. So this is the anatomy 101, and the reason for the hybrid room. So you see the body, you see the kidneys, you see between the 2 kidneys, you see the aorta and vena cava, and you see the bladder and the kidney tubes, the ureters. The fetus is situated here. The placenta is in its previa position here, so it can't deliver through the birth canal. So somehow you have to do the delivery through a cesarean section. And if bleeding were to start, it's sort of like construction on a water pipe in your kitchen, that once it the water breaks open. If those break open, somehow you have to stop it quickly, except it's blood, it's not water. So you have to be prepared to stop it and not injure any of these surrounding organs. This is what it looks like in real life. This is a fetus. This is a pregnant mother's uterus. And you look at the uterus and you look down below at the lower portion, and you would think that's the fetal head, but actually that's the placenta eroding through the uterus. And on the side, you see the big vessels that are feeding the uterus that you don't want to get into. You want to deliver the baby. So this is what we developed with this plan. The patient comes into the hybrid room. The obstetrician and the perinatalogist decide when to deliver that baby before they go into labor, 33 weeks as a general rule. They go in, the anesthesiologist and their team come in and do an epidural anesthesia so the mother's awake and can watch the birthing process as they get ready for a cesarean section. The urologists now come in once the epidural's in place, and they put stents in the bladder to protect the kidneys in case something bad goes on, so they protect the bladder and kidneys. So the urology team comes into that hybrid room, put the stents in. Then the interventional radiologists come in. And what they do is they thread catheters from the patient's arteries in her legs, and you can sort of see it threading around right to the uterine artery, and it has a balloon, and they do it on each side, and that way if we get into bleeding, they can blow up the balloon and actually shut the blood supply to the uterus. Then the perfusionists come in, the cardiac perfusionists come in with the cell saver. The cell saver is a way that if they start bleeding, we can give the blood back to the patient instantly, so we're prepared for that, so they come in. And then we're set up in the hybrid room. Here's the hybrid room where the obstetrician comes in, I come in, and the OR team comes in to do the cesarean section. The obstetrician does the cesarean section. I assist him with the cesarean section. The neonatologist and the pediatric team come in to resuscitate because these babies, remember, are premature. We plan it so that the lungs are as mature as possible, but before they go into labor, and then the baby's delivered. The baby's delivered, we go ahead and do the cesarean hysterectomy if indeed it is a placenta creta before it starts bleeding, and we have all the control mechanisms in place so the anesthesiologist can put the patient to sleep if they need to. They can, the radiologist blow up the balloons to cut back the blood supply. And since that, now we've actually, this is the cases that we've done here at placenta creta since 2008. In 2004, you see in the line where the hybrid room started. We actually did 4 of those 5 were done in the hybrid room. The 5th one wasn't because they were doing a cardiac case at the time, but all the team was in place at each of these places, so the mother didn't have to move. With that, you can see we had a 57% decrease in blood loss from the previous years by using the methods and the team that we implemented. A huge dramatic control that we actually showed preparedness. And so basically, in conclusion, I just want to say that our hybrid obstetrical team is another reason to use that investment in the room for patient care. It actually takes multiple specialties, multiple disciplines, puts them in an operating room together for the safety of the baby. With that, it just shows the collaboration that takes place, the number of people. There were 24 people that are coming in and out of that room. Preparedness, utilization of the newest technology. And in that, we also have a special guest. We have a special guest. This is actually Nicole, the last delivery that we did on June 15th. We have Nicole and Emerson here, and they were June 15th. They delivered a 4-pound, 5-pound, 15-ounce baby, and they came to join us here today and show you what they did. Today's actually the day, the real day of when the baby was going to be due, so they were happy to join us today for the board meeting. And I want to thank you all very much for your support and on behalf of the Mother-Baby Unit. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do you have anything you want to say?
Do we get to see the baby?
Can they see the...
Can we show the baby? Thank you so much, Dr. Fiorica. Look.
Emerson.
Look at that. Oh,
What's the baby's name?
Emerson Grace.
Emerson
What a
Grace.
beautiful name.
She spent only 13 days in the NICU here. And thank you to you.
It's this, they're the ones that made it happen.
Yes. It was a lot smoother than I could have ever imagined. I did 30 days in the hospital on bed rest before the surgery, so the whole team was in place, and we knew the game plan the entire time. Stuck to it, and I think my blood loss was less than what you put up on the board.
It's true.
Wow.
Well, that's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's right. Thank you so much, Dr. Fiorica. And now we have the Excel winner, Maura Otero, a room attendant in environmental services, who's our Excel winner.
Come on, Mara. How are you doing today?
Great.
Stand up here with me. So, Mara Otero is our Excel recipient for the month of July. Mara is the room attendant in environmental services. She's been an employee of SMH since April 2004. Mara has all the qualities of an Excel recipient. Her nominations agree that she has a positive attitude and a work ethic that is unrivaled. She is kind, caring, and an effective communicator. Here's a couple comments from her peers. Great things come in small packages, and this can certainly be said about Mara. She is short in stature, but stands up tall and an outstanding employee for SMH. Everything is always clean. Mara is the hardest worker I know. She is meticulous and extremely efficient. Some of the simplest things that can make a big difference in Mara's state of mind is constantly expressing her through her heartfelt smile and caring words. Mara is always pleasant, even when we are extremely busy, and pulling her in different directions. She's a team player, willing and available to stay late when we need her. As a charge nurse, I never have to wonder where she is. We are always lucky to have her as part of our labor and delivery, antepartum, and OB/OR in PACU. Thank you, Mara, for everything you've done. And I'm going to get...
All right. One more. We have a plaque to kind of celebrate this wonderful day for you. Hold on one second, and we'll get it to you. An employee recognition, Excel is an employee recognition program of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System. The hospital board and the administrative staff of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System are grateful to all employees who constantly enhance the quality of patient stay by making an extra effort in their daily activities. The Excel program is designed to recognize employees who have distinguished themselves by superior performance and attention to others. Individuals recognized are models of excellence who strengthen the quality of patient care and the image of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System in the community. So today, the hospital board and the administrative staff are pleased to present you, Maura Otero, with the Excel Award for July 2015 in recognition of your demonstrated courtesy and caring attitude and contributions towards excellence of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System. Signed today by David Veringer, CEO, and Margaret G. Malone, Chair, Sarasota County Public Hospital Board. Maura, congratulations on behalf of the board.
Thank you.
You're welcome to speak if you'd like to. We'd love to hear from you.
Just say thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And our Physician Excel winner, Dr. Sarah Temple, Emergency Medicine.
So, Dr. Temple? Good to see you again. You well? Mm-hmm. Good. So the recipient of our Physician Excel Award for the first quarter of 2015 is Dr. Sarah Temple. Dr. Temple is a physician in our emergency room and has been on staff since August of 2012. It is clear by the comments and her many nominations that Dr. Temple is well respected by all of her peers and staff. Her nominations all have the common theme, and one person summed it up brilliantly. Dr. Temple shows every positive quality a doctor should: respect, leadership, competence, and compassion. Dr. Temple has an impeccable work ethic, always shows up with a smile and stays past her shift when her patients need her. She is always a willing teacher to staff despite how busy we may be. She courteously interacts with everyone around her and treats her patients and families with the utmost respect. She does all of this in a professional and timely manner. In my opinion, I never felt that I could not approach her with any question which is crucial regarding patient care. Dr. Temple's positive personality is riveting. I have worked with a lot of physicians, and I believe Dr. Temple is one of the most inspiring physicians I've ever worked with. So thank you, Dr. Temple. We appreciate all you do. Thank you very much.
Dr. Temple, we have a plaque that'll go on the wall with, I guess, in your
Study.
Study or nursery now?
Yes,
Remember,
it's got a
nursery,
changing
now as a
table in
new
it.
mom, nursery becomes the center of your home. I learned that the hard way. Anyway, Physicians Excel Award, a physician's recognition program of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System. The hospital board and administrative staff of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System are grateful to all physicians who constantly enhance the quality of a patient's stay by making extra effort in their daily activities. The Excel program is designed to recognize physicians who have distinguished themselves by superior performance and attention to patients and others. Individuals recognized are models of excellence who strengthen the quality of patient care and the image of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System in the community. The hospital board today and the administrative staff are pleased to present to you Dr. Sarah Temple with the Physicians Excel Award for the first quarter of 2015 in recognition of your demonstrated courtesy and caring attitude and contributions towards the excellence of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System. Signed by David Veringer, CEO, Dr. Stephen Taylor, CMO, and Dr. Margaret Malone, Chair, Sarasota County Public Hospital Board. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I would just like to thank all of you for being here and taking a moment out of your day to share this award with me. I can't tell you how honored I was when I received the call from Dr. Fiorica, and to know that it was the staff, some of the night nurses in the emergency department that nominated me. It was just means something. You know, on a hard day, if I think of a hard day at work, when I think about this and know that the team respected me enough to take time to nominate me, it makes all the difference in the world. The ED is about teamwork, and to know that I'm a valued part of the team, it couldn't mean anything more. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
On a quick note, if I may, Dr. Temple, you won't remember me, but you took excellent care of my daughter about a year ago in the ER, so thank you so much.
Thank you. And now we have a Hero Award, Ray Johnston, Multi-Skilled Tech in the PACU.
Raymond? Sir. Good to see you. So Ray Johnston is a MST in our PACU. He exemplifies service and excellence in patient care. Upon leaving work at 3:30 p.m., Ray was driving home and passed an accident on US 41. A 15-year-old girl with her learner's permit was driving with her mother and rear-ended a truck. I have a 15-year-old daughter. I understand how stressful that would be. Both the mother and daughter were safe but visibly shaken. The car damage was such that they were unable to drive it. Not only did Ray stop, but he called the police, called a tow truck, and drove the two back home to Northport. The woman's husband would not have been able to come for hours, so Ray took it upon himself to make sure they got home safely. His pay-it-forward attitude and selflessness in this situation shows he's caring and compassionate, and is one of the reasons he's a true hero. Thank you very much, Ray.
Ray, we have a little plaque to commemorate that day for you. All right. Raymond Johnston is hereby inducted into the Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System Team SMH Hall of Fame as a hero on the first day of July 2015 for meritorious customer service, including consistently exceeding the expectation of our patients, families, visitors, and staff, being an example to peers and others, having a personal commitment to excellence, and going above and beyond for individuals in our community. And it's signed today by David Veringer, CEO, and Dr. Margaret Malone, Chair of the Sarasota County Public Hospital Board. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank everybody. I don't do well talking in front of people, but since you guys recognize me for this is all over Facebook, and everybody's calling me from all over the country to thank me, and thank you. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, we'll hope they don't call and recruit him, so we will keep those good.
And so we'll move on to the report of the medical staff. Dr. Fiorica, our Chief of Staff.
Yes, I have one action item that I would wish the board to consider. and that's for approval of the Medical Records Committee suspension and recommendations.
Madam Chair, I would like to propose a motion. I move approval of the process for encouragement of timely medical record completion and suspension as recommended by the Medical Executive Committee.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the auxiliary report. Dottie Ziegler, Auxiliary President.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our orientation for new volunteers was on Tuesday, July 14th. We have several new volunteers who are coming on board for discharge services and the courtyard tower. These volunteers are welcome additions to two of our busiest areas. We have two new pet therapy volunteers, and Stacy will be setting up that program soon. Our next fundraiser sale starts tomorrow. It's the electronic sale and was very popular last year. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. And the Sarasota Memorial Healthcare Foundation, Alex Quarles, President.
I thought I'd give you a end of June update on our grants to Sarasota Memorial, and they total $1,738,964,000. I just want to give you a quick snapshot of some of the areas in which we have supported. Actually, have given 40 grants so far, and we expect more before the end of the year. $28,000 for mammograms, $17,000 for glucose monitoring, two gifts, one at $12,000, one at $11,000 for the Neuroscience Summit. Breast health reconstructive surgery, $6,200. Spin studio bikes, $40,000. Wheelchair transport Bayside, $46,000. Irradiator for the blood bank, $75,000. Brian Johnson Music Therapy Room, $48,000. Oncology Registry Software, $12,600. Music for the piano, $19,385. Breast health testing diagnostic uninsured, $100,000. Handheld communication devices, $750,000. Trudy, two Trudy disinfection systems at just under $195,000. AV equipment for the conference room, 3C at $30,005. And staff education for doctors, nurses, and others was $200,616. So we're still out there working for you. We're getting ready to put together the pieces for the rehab pavilion. I want to mention also, two things about Dr. Fiorica. As you know, we have already received about a $1.3 million pledge about 4 years ago for his GYN cancer research program. That was phase one. Phase two has now been signed for $5.3 million, making it just over $6.2 million that are going to that particular program. We have, unfortunately, several estate plans that have matured, but more importantly, our Women in Medicine program, which is January 15th at the Ritz-Carlton. Dr. Fiorica and Dr. Alyssa Schulman, another physician, will be our keynote speakers. So it's oncology year. That concludes my report.
Well, thank you very much for that report. That's terrific. And congratulations, Dr. Fiorica, on that second phase being approved.
Thank you. We're excited. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll move on to the Secretary's report. Tom Towler.
Madam Secretary, I have the August agenda for the board. On Monday, the 17th, we have 11 o'clock, a board meeting, review of finances at 1 o'clock, the public board meeting. That is the only one exception. But on the 26th of the month, at 8 o'clock, we have the board budget retreat. And that is my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. And the Treasurer's report, Mr. Joe DiVirgilio.
Madam Chair, I have one item this morning. It's approval of the bad debt and charity care, and I move approval of bad debt and charity care for the month ending June 30th, 2015, in the amount of $14,282,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. So we'll move on to the first operations report. Mr. Bill Wojin, Chief Finance Officer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have the financial highlights for June of this year, and this represents the end of our third quarter of our fiscal year, so the fiscal year-to-date numbers will represent 9 months. For our system operating revenue, for the month of June, $62,224,000 compared to a budget of $44,687,000. Fiscal year-to-date, $488,517,000 compared to a budget of $433,911,000. Total expenses for the system for the month of June, $47,484,000 compared to a budget of $45,841,000. Fiscal year to date, $448,902,000 compared to a budget of $431,240,000. Our operating income for the system in the rating agency format in June, $17,128,000 compared to a budget of $1,535,000. The fiscal year to date operating income for the system, $63,520,000, which represents an operating margin of 12.2% compared to a budget of $27,023,000 or an operating margin of 5.8%. For the hospital statistics, June year to date, the average daily occupancy, 450 patients compared to a budget of 388 patients. An average length of stay so far this year, 5.02. Prior year was 4.63. Admissions for the 9 months, 20,948 compared to a budget of 20,105. Surgery cases, again for fiscal year to date, 14,988 compared to a budget of 14,277. And so far this fiscal year, we've had 2,424 births compared to a budget of 2,162. June fiscal year to date outpatient registrations, 315,357 compared to a budget of 316,928. Emergency care center registrations, 87,808 compared to a budget of 77,604. And so far this fiscal year, our case mix index for all patients averaged 1.72, and for Medicare patients, 1.92. Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. And we'll move on to the report of Jan Mock, our Chief Nursing Officer.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, the board, and the community. I'd first like to start with sharing with you that our progress for the Redder Building, we have moved all facilities and programs out of the Redder Building in preparation for the demolition of that. And you can see here the beautiful sign for our Sarasota Memorial Infusion Center that has been moved and opened. And I want to thank the team that did such a great job in moving, the clinical staff, as well as the entire organization that participates in our moves that we make throughout the organization. You can see here, this is what a patient area looks like. And we have a chair, a recliner concept like you would see in a physician's office. And the staff and the patients are really enjoying this new area. So as we move on to the Redder demolition that we've talked about, you can see now that the area is marked off and ready for all of the work that needs to be done in the next couple months. And these are two different viewpoints of that. And also the interior demolition has started, and you can see here how complicated that is and all the work that's being done there. So this is the movement for the Redder building to become the rehab pavilion. So we're very excited about that progress, and a lot of work is being done with Tom and his team. I'd also like to give you a 3-month update of our trauma program, and I hope you can see this small print. But for the 3 months, we have had 123 trauma alerts, and this is pretty much right on target with what we budgeted. We do think during the season we'll probably increase that target. We also had 75 that were trauma consults. And we've talked before about the number of OR cases, and we predicted that there would be about 10% of our trauma that went to the OR. And so far to date, 6% has gone to the OR. So we keep track of those numbers. The next set of numbers is the mechanism for injury. There were 40 falls, 32 motor vehicle crashes, 22 motorcycle, 19 other, 4 stab wounds, 3 gunshot wounds, 3 burns. And the trauma alert and who they were called by, 31 were called by EMS, 42 arrived by private vehicles or ambulance and were deemed trauma alert at that time by the ECC staff. The methods that they arrived, 31 were by helicopter, 79 by ambulance, and 13 by private automobiles. The disposition or where they've gone, and as you know, we've tried to limit the locations for training and outcomes. 92 of those patients went to the ICU, 57 were admitted to orthopedics, 12 were admitted to the neuro floor, 11 were admitted to the surgical floor, and 20 discharged from the ECC. And 1 expired, and 5 were transferred to Tampa General. I'd just like to share a couple things about the things that are going well with our program. I'd like to thank the entire organization for their great teamwork that they have done in setting up the trauma program and maintaining the trauma program as it has gone into place. I want a special thanks for the trauma surgeons, Jean and Steve, who've led this charge from a leadership standpoint, and Jen Sweeney, who's the trauma program coordinator, who have led this great effort to success. We've had a lot of younger patients that have been involved in trauma, and that's been very traumatic for our staff. So we have set up several sessions with our employee health program where they really address the emotional concerns from the staff. It's very, very important that they give great clinical care, but many times emotionally they struggle with what they have to deal with. So we are very pleased to offer this great service to our staff to help them work through the emotional aspects of handling these types of cases. And then our next step is our application is due, the rest of it in September, and it's ready and will be on its way. And then the window for the health department to come for their on-site review will be next September, so we are well in position and prepared for that. I think a couple of the other successes is our affiliation with Tampa General and using their Aeromed for our transports, as well as the transports that we make to all children's in our affiliation there. It's been a wonderful relationship with them. We also have a great relationship with our EMS team in establishing the process, but also to continually review the process and revise it based on what we see and what we're experiencing. I'd like to thank you, the board, for your vision. I'd like to thank the team for their hard work and dedication in having a great trauma program, and the community for their ongoing support of our organization and for this program. I'd also like to, as I already mentioned earlier, to thank the entire organization for their dedication, their engagement, and their excellent quality and safety focus on providing excellent care, which was seen through our survey, our week-long survey, with 7 surveyors last week with our Joint Commission. I want to thank each and every one of you and the board support and all of the staff for their teamwork, their hard work, not just only during this week, but each and every day that they deliver high quality, high reliable, and safe care. And last, I think is appropriate, as Jim Fiorico brought up about our GYN program and our mother-baby. I got a letter from a patient, and I'd like to read it to you. It says, I am writing to express my sincere gratitude for the care provided to me and our daughter by two of your nurses who cared for us after the death of, or the birth, of our daughter. Sandy and Leah were compassionate, caring, kind, helpful, understanding, sensitive, yet pushed me when needed to ensure a quick recovery from my Syrian section. Sorry, I can't talk today. Sandy was on one of my nurses 18 months ago when she had her first daughter, Sydney, who was born, and she was thrilled to see the same nurse that gave her support on this second birth. Beth, Sandy, and Leah were exceptional nurses and clearly love what they do, and it shows. Words cannot express our heartfelt gratitude for everything they do for our family. And so we will let those staff members know about the great care that they give each and every day and the difference that they make in people's lives. And Madam Chair, that ends my report unless you have any questions.
Any questions? Thank you so much, Jan. And on behalf of the board, we would also like to say to all the leadership team and everybody in this hospital how proud we are of the job you all did with Joint Commission. And we know you do that job every day of the year. But the Joint Commission surveyors were very impressed, and they said so. So we're very proud of all of you and very pleased at the outcome. Thank you. So we'll move on now to board reports. And we have lost a board member here in the last little while, not to anything bad, but he and his family moved back to Indiana, and that was Dick Merritt, who was with our board for 6 years, was president for a couple of those years, or chairman, I should say. And so he has already left. They were able to sell a house, buy a house, and get moved in. So he is not here right now. We have a resolution for him. Whereas Richard Merritt has served with distinction and dedication as a member of the Sarasota County Public Hospital Board from 2007 to 2015, and as a member of the Community Health Corporation Board, and whereas Dick Merritt is hereby recognized for his leadership, energy, expertise, and enthusiasm. He guided the organization through 2 years as chairman of the board, opening landmark projects including the Courtyard Tower and urgent care centers. His commitment to excellence also was demonstrated during his terms as treasurer and chairman of the Finance, Mission and Planning and Quality Committees. And whereas Dick Merritt has represented the Northern District and played a significant role in shaping the healthcare system's direction over the past 8 years, he has served as a passionate advocate for Sarasota Memorial throughout the community and at the state level. And whereas Dick Merritt has been a great champion of medical staff members, demonstrating ongoing support of their initiatives and top quality patient care throughout his tenure. Now therefore be it resolved that although Dick Merritt has decided to step down from the board to move back to the Midwest to be with his family, he will be missed. Be it further resolved that Mr. Merritt is hereby acknowledged for his outstanding leadership, and his accomplishments will be set down upon the records of this great hospital for all to read for years to come. Signed, Marguerite Malone, chairman of the board, and David Verinder, CEO. So we also have a traditional crystal, it's called I don't even know what the actual name of it is. It looks sort of like a sculpture. It's square, it's crystal, it's got engraving in it, sits on a base. I think it's called a paperweight, but you could really contain books with it. It's about this big. So we have sent that directly to Dick and his family up in Indiana, and we wish him lots of luck and thank him again for his efforts here on this board. And now we'll move on to committee reports. Audit Committee, Darrell Henry, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Audit Committee met on Tuesday, July the 7th at 11:30 a.m. Mark Thornton, Director of Audit Services, requests a 4-year extension of the Bobbitt Pittenger Company Professional Association engagement to audit the financial statements of the SMH Healthcare Retirement Plan. The committee unanimously recommended full board approval. Therefore, I move approval of a 4-year engagement of Bobbitt Pittenger for audit services for the SMH Healthcare Retirement Plan as described in the engagement letter as recommended by the audit committee.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes. Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. And the Finance Committee, due to Dick's departure, Mr. Bob Strasser is taking on that role as chairman of the Finance Committee today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance Committee met on July the 7th, 2015. The first item on the agenda was a preliminary tax millage rate. Bill Wojcik discussed the requirements to establish the preliminary tax millage rate for fiscal year 2016. He stated we are in the midst of preparing the operating and capital budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill detailed the budget challenges of $33.4 million. He also showed the organization's significant reduction in reliance on tax revenue as a percentage of total revenue over a period of time. He discussed high-level volume projections, 5-year projections, and millage options for fiscal year 16. The final millage rate to be approved in September cannot be higher than the preliminary rate set today, but it can be lower. There was discussion. Bill discussed the impact of the tax millage rate on a property owner's tax bill. Maintaining the current rate of 1.0863 represents a 7.1% increase in projected tax receipts due to new construction and higher property values. Bill discussed the timeline for the budget retreat and the public hearings. David Verlander commented on 4 areas he believes present funding needs: potential low-income pool reductions, trauma program cost, residency program cost, and oncology center plans. At this time, I move that the board set the preliminary tax millage rate at 1.0863 mils, the same rate as last year, as recommended by the Finance Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes. Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
The second item was additional optional funding of the pension plan. Bill Wojcik presented a proposal for the additional optional contribution to the pension plan. The last optional addition contribution was made in 2013. Bill discussed the advantages and the disadvantages in making this contribution for the proposed defined benefit pension plan. Bill provided scenarios for funding. The additional $30 million will bring the plan to an estimated funding level of 93.9%. He stated we would not want to fund the plan much higher than this level of funding at this time. There was a general discussion about the tax millage, operating margin, and funding the pension plan. At this time, I move approval of the additional optional contribution to the SMH Healthcare Defined Benefit Retirement Plan in the amount of $30 million to be made in September 2015, as recommended by the Finance Committee.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed?
The third item is an update on the hybrid room and TAVR procedures. David Patterson provided an update on the hybrid operating room and TAVR procedures. He gave a snapshot of what was requested of the board 3 years ago. He reported on the cost of building a hybrid room and advised the project came in under budget. Volume and contribution margins are currently exceeding expectations. However, growth in the first 2 years did not achieve expectations. Jennifer Sullivan, Director of Cardiovascular Services, discussed the reasons why we built the hybrid room and what our experience has been in the intervening time. The hybrid room and TAVR procedure, along with the Columbia affiliation, has been a huge assist in the organization of being able to recruit cardiac surgeons and grow cardiac services. Dr. Sell provided vital statistics from the program, specifically pointing to TAVR, which has contributed to SMH programmatic increase evidenced by a 30% growth since 2013. David Patterson provided statistics on the hybrid room and incremental cardiac surgery cases since 2013. He feels the Courtyard Tower had also had a halo effect. However, good quality outcomes bring volume. There was discussion of the per case TAVR negative contribution, which has been reduced to less than $4,000 per case. We are moving in the right direction. The actual hybrid room financial results after 3 years compared to the original projections are favorable. Cardiac surgery complications and outcomes and mortality rates for the period April 2014 to March 2015 were also provided and look favorable. Comments from several physicians on what the program has meant for them were included in the presentation. The last item under old business, the selection committee recommended for trauma support offices and integrated cash management and quality offices was presented by Tom Perigo. These projects have not yet been brought to the board for funding approval. Tom discussed the project scopes. We reviewed the board recommended approval of the ranking as determined by the selection committee held on June 23, 2015 for architects and engineers as follows. I move approval of the ranking of the architects and engineers for the construction of trauma support offices and integrated cash management and quality offices as determined by the selection committee and recommended by the finance committee as follows. Number 1 was Gresham Smith, 2 was Flad, 3 was Carlson Studios. I move approval of this ranking at this time.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. So,
There was one more, the discussion on the ranking of the general contractors for the construction of the trauma support office and integrated cash management. I move approval of the ranking of the general contractors for the construction of the trauma support offices and integrated cash management and quality offices as determined by the selection committee and recommended by the finance committee as follows. 1, DeAngelis Diamond, 2, PHM General Construction, and 3, Manhattan Construction.
we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you
I have
very
completed
much.
my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move on to the Governance Effectiveness Committee. Alex Miller, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Governance Effectiveness Committee met on July 7th to discuss the vacancy in Seat 1 of the Northern District by Mr. Dick Merritt. After some discussion, the board agreed to appoint Mr. Jim Meister, whom is a current community member of the Mission and Planning Committee. Mr. Meister will fill Mr. Merritt's unexpired term. Therefore, I have a motion. I move appointment of Jim Meister to the vacancy in Seat 1 of the Northern District of the Board, as recommended by the Governance Effectiveness Committee.
We have a motion and a second. Comments or questions? All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Then, due to the vacancy left by Mr. Meister on the Mission and Planning Committee, we discussed and appointed Harry Hobson, CEO of Plymouth Harbor, as his replacement as community member. Therefore, I have another proposed motion. I move appointment of Harry Hobson to the vacancy on the Mission and Planning Committee as recommended by the Governance Effectiveness Committee.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Thank you.
That concludes my report.
And I'll just have a couple of things I'd like to say about Jim Meister. He is on his way to Africa as we speak. Otherwise, he would be here today. He will be back in time for the August meeting. He served on our board's audit committee for 4 years and is a member of the Mission and Planning Committee currently, and has extensive experience in strategic planning, organizational development, development of best practices, business experience, and a variety of skills that the board felt would be very beneficial to add to the board's current set of skills. So we're pleased that he will be joining us. And we'll move on now to the Quality Committee, Mr. Strasser.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I shouldn't laugh.
Since the Quality Committee meets in closed session, I have nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. We all smile when it's time for Bob's report because we do have a private meeting. That is a meeting that is done without being in the public, and so he never does have a report. So that was the reason that we all sort of grinned. Move on now to the...
Madam Chairman,
yes.
do we need a motion to approve the resolution you presented recognizing Dick Merritt's contribution to the hospital board? I don't remember voting on that.
Historically, we don't approve. They're approved by acclamation as published at the meeting. The gratitude resolutions, historically, we haven't had board motions to enact those.
Okay.
We know that the board supports them.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to make it official.
Yes. We'll move on.
Chair,
Yes.
could I have 30 seconds of the board's time? I left out something I wanted to mention when I was doing my report.
Sure.
All right. We'd be glad to do that, but very quickly.
Yes, that speaks directly to the point. Last meeting, we asked Mark Thornton to do it crisply and very quickly, and he did, but I want you to know what led up to that. Mr. Thornton was on family vacation in Key West, took a single-seat private flight back to Sarasota to come to that meeting. That's the kind of quality the man is. We've seen all the projects he's done, and we know what he is, but Mark, well done. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And the President's report now, Mr. David Verinder, President and CEO.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I am going to start, as I always do, with our leader report card for the year-to-date through June 2015. We start with our service pillar, and we have our first indicator under that is our HCAP score. We have a goal of hitting 9 out of 11 indicators at the 50th percentile or better. I am reporting that we are hitting currently 8 out of the 11, so we're just a little bit shy on that goal. Still making up ground on that. On our outpatient part of our service pillar, our likelihood of recommending, we have a goal of hitting the 83rd percentile. I am happy to report we are exceeding that by 1 point and hitting the 84th percentile. In the people pillar, we have 2 indicators. Our first is merits on time. We have a goal of hitting that 95% of the time. I will tell you we have slipped a little bit on that some more. We're at 89%. We're having difficulties with a number of staff who are out on leave and on vacation this summer. So our HR department is redoubling efforts to get people's merits done on time. The other indicator is our turnover goal, which is 16% or less. I am happy to report that we are doing well on that. We're at 13%. In the quality pillar, we have organization percent of patient safety readiness. Our goal is to be at the 95% or better, and we are currently at 99%. I think if you needed an outside indication of that, it was our recent Joint Commission survey. And I'd just like to take a moment and thank our leaders for doing, really stepping in and doing a great job on that. Dr. Malone, I'd start with you. I believe you showed up on very short notice to come and lead a lot of that. Lori Lang, our Chief Operating Officer, Jan Mock, our CNO, and of course Dr. Steve Taylor, our CMO. And not to leave Dr. Fiorica out, but certainly represented well from the medical staff.
Thank you.
Our infection prevention is our combined overall standardization infection rate of less than 0.95. We are at 0.93, so we are hitting that or exceeding that goal right now, exceeding in a positive way. Our finance pillar, as Bill Wojin, our CFO, reported, our organizational financial goal is to hit a 4.4% operating margin, and we're currently at about a 9.5%. In the growth pillar, our strategic growth organizational goals are both our inpatient admissions and our outpatient registrations. Inpatient admissions, as Bill had reported earlier, are at 27,145 is our projection, which is exceeding our goal of 26,308. And our outpatient registrations are at 682,000, which are exceeding our outpatient goal of 657. So digging in a little bit deeper into our HCAHPS numbers, you can see in the column that says Q315, as it's our third quarter of 2015, we actually hit 7 out of 11, which brought our fiscal year to date 15 number to 8 out of 11. So we have 4 indicators that we're missing on: communication with nursing, responsiveness of hospital staff, quietness of hospital environment, and communication about medicine. Communication about medicines. So we do have action plans around all of those, and I'm confident we'll get our number back up to our goal by the end of the year. This is a slide, our outpatient slide, that shows our likelihood of recommending. Every month we review this, and what we always say is we like to have the departments that are in the far left get into the middle, and the ones in the middle get to the right. And I'm happy to report that there's only 2 departments in the far left, and I believe that's the first time that I can remember that that's happened. So really would like to thank Frank Morgan and Lori Lang and others who contribute quite a bit of work to that goal. Moving on to our people section. Earlier this month, we had members of Girls Inc. In their group called Making Rounds Healthcare Exploration Program, which is a summer camp for high school girls interested in healthcare careers. Visited the hospital's patient safety simulation lab. Advanced practice program coordinators Jackie Gerbito and Melissa Shelton discussed a variety of healthcare career opportunities and also provided hands-on simulator experience. So we appreciate them taking the time to come up here. Staying in people, last month we had one of our employees, Wanda Jackson, who is an outpatient care coordinator at the Institute for Advanced Medicine, represented SMH at the MDA summer camp. SMH works in partnership with the Muscular Dystrophy Association of Florida to provide MDA ALS clinic at the IFAM campus. The campers at the MDA Summers Camp get to have a week of enjoyment away from doctor's appointments and therapies, and really is a very big boost to their morale and what goes on there. Staying in people, we had our webmaster and our app creator, Charles Westcott, and childbirth educator, Charlene Shiro, were interviewed by Heidi Godman on her Health Check radio show. They discussed features and benefits of our new SMH baby app for expectant mothers. Some of those features are weekly milestones for the development of the baby, reminders such as when to pick a pediatrician and to register for childbirth prep classes, as well as keep track of doctor's appointments, a journal for moms to make entries and upload photos, pregnancy tools including kit counter, weight tracker, hospital packing list, and contraction timer. So thank you very much. Staying in people, we just welcomed our class of 2017, which is our 20 new students who joined SMH campus from Florida State University. So they just started which are all third-year medical students here. This is, of course, starting off our 11th year association with the Florida State University College of Medicine. So we're happy to welcome them, and I'm sure we'll be all meeting them very soon. Just an article from the Observer. I just wanted to thank them very quickly for writing nice things about me and the hospital and recognizing a lot of whatever our actions are. So appreciate it. And then we had a second article from the Observer. This one was Sarasota Memorial Hospital helps earn the city the #1 ranking in readmission rates. So Sarasota Memorial helped earn the city of Sarasota the title of #1 for lowest hospital readmission numbers, complications, and deaths. Better Doctor, an online consumer health site, released their study in which Sarasota top 31 cities. Points of data were included in the study were rate of complications for hip and knee replacement patients, pneumonia 30-day mortality rate, death rate for stroke patients, and heart failure for 30-day readmission. It wasn't a big surprise. We've been the number one ranked hospital in the United States for readmission rates for quite a while, but it was very nice to be nationally recognized as well. Staying in the quality and safety, Sarasota Memorial Home Care received a 5-star rating from CMS's Quality of Patient Care this past month. The star rating is a new methodology for publicly reporting patient care outcomes and process measures, and means we exceeded both state and national quality outcome measures. The outcome measures included improvement in ambulation, improvement in transferring, improvement in bathing, improvement in pain interfering with activity, improvement in shortness of breath, and acute care hospitalization. The quality of patient care star ratings will be displayed on Home Health Compare HHC in October. So congratulations to them. Now this was a little bit different. This was we put it in quality and safety, but we found that the BBC News featured SMH's app and so we're apparently famous across the pond now too. So this is, of course, the app that Peter Taylor and his team developed, and we've had running for quite a while. But it was just nice to get recognition from something we didn't know it was coming out until Google picked it up for us. Moving into the finance area, Moody's, we get reviewed every year by Moody's Investment Services, which is gives us a rating on our bonds that are publicly held. We just finished that, and Moody's did reaffirm our A1 rating and our stable outlook, which is the A1 it would be the strongest single A rating that you can receive. Strong credit benefits, rating benefits by SMH are maintaining the value of our bonds and our bondholders, which sustains investor confidence, providing the system with a low-cost capital, and ensuring access to capital markets if and when we need to borrow funds into the future. So, staying into growth, or moving into growth section, this was another article we came across out of Kiplinger, which talked about the 10 great places to retire in 2015. The article basically had 10 different cities in it, but what we found interesting was, along with St. Armand's, it talked about Sarasota Memorial being one of the big draws to the area and making us one of those top 10 places. So we were flattered by that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, my last slide here in growth, I just wanted to give some new illustrations of the new rehab pavilion that is being built. And you probably have seen that the parking lot is gone, and lots of the interior part, if not all the interior part of Rudder is gone now. But above we have overhead perspective that shows how the footprint of the new facility will extend to the current location of the West Campus Drive, which will be rerouted further west on the hospital campus. The building on the left is a community medical clinic. Below, the area behind the new pavilion will feature a mobility garden with different services and walking practice, and a putting green for those of our patients who need to get back onto golf courses. So, Dr. Malone, that concludes my report. If anyone has any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. There's nothing on the consent agenda today. Any public comments? No public comments. Legal matters?
No report.
We'd like to say that our Chief Legal Officer is now fully and completely an employee of Sarasota Memorial Hospital, and we're delighted to have you amongst us full time.
I am very, very proud to be an inside member of the team.
There being no other business,